In 2023, Grand Theft Auto V crossed 190 million copies sold, making it one of the best-selling entertainment products in human history. Not just games. Entertainment products. Movies, albums, books. Nothing else at that scale has sustained commercial dominance for over a decade the way a single open-world game has. That number should stop you cold, because it tells you something profound about what open-world design did to this entire industry. Welcome to Pixel Pulse. Over the next 10 minutes, we are going to trace exactly how open-world games rewrote the rules of game design, player psychology, and even how studios build their teams. We will walk through the history, the breakthroughs, the failures nobody advertises, and the one uncomfortable truth about open worlds that the gaming press tends to gloss over, because it challenges the assumption that bigger is always better. Stay with us, because that last part changes how you see almost every modern game release. To understand where open worlds came from, you have to go back further than most people expect. The genre did not begin with Rockstar or Ubisoft. It began in 1984 with a game called Elite, developed by David Braben and Ian Bell for the BBC Micro. Elite gave players a procedurally generated galaxy of 8,000 star systems to explore, trade across, and fight through. There were no invisible walls. There was no prescribed story path. You decided what kind of pilot you were going to be. The technology was staggeringly primitive, but the philosophical foundation was already fully formed. Freedom of movement. Player-defined goals. A world that existed independently of what you chose to do in it. From there, the lineage runs through titles like Ultima and the early Zelda games on NES, which gave players interconnected spaces to explore non-linearly. But the moment that genuinely cracked open the mainstream conversation happened in 1996, when Nintendo released The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time's predecessor, A Link to the Past, had already shown what a rich overworld could feel like in 2 dimensions. Then GoldenEye and early 3D movement started redefining spatial awareness. The real earthquake came in 1999 and 2000, when Driver and then Midnight Club began letting players roam fully rendered 3-dimensional cities without load screens interrupting the experience. Those games were imperfect, but they planted a specific idea in millions of players: the city itself is the game. Rockstar took that idea and detonated it in 2001 with Grand Theft Auto 3. Here was a living, breathing urban environment where you could ignore every mission and simply exist. You could steal a taxi and drive passengers around. You could climb to a rooftop and watch the AI city go about its routines. You could cause chaos just to observe how the systems responded. GTA 3 did not just sell well, it created a vocabulary. Suddenly, every publisher in the industry was asking their developers the same question: why are we building corridors when we could be building worlds? But here is what nobody talks about when they celebrate this era. The explosion of open-world design in the early 2000s left a trail of broken games behind it. For every GTA 3, there were a dozen titles that mistook size for substance. The map was enormous. The content was hollow. Players wandered for hours without anything meaningful to discover. This problem had a name inside development circles: content desert. And it was the dirty secret of the open-world boom. The studios that survived this era and thrived were the ones that solved the content desert problem in fundamentally different ways. Bethesda's approach with Morrowind in 2002 and then Oblivion in 2006 was to generate density through systemic design. Every NPC had a schedule, every location had a history embedded in books and environmental storytelling. The world felt inhabited because information was layered everywhere you looked. Rockstar's approach was cinematic density, fewer tour locations, but each one was so meticulously crafted with ambient dialogue, unique pedestrian behaviors, and reactive systems that the city felt genuinely alive. 2 completely different philosophies producing 2 completely different types of open worlds, and both worked. Then 2007 arrived and changed the calculus permanently. Assassin's Creed launched with a vertically oriented open world, climbing systems, rooftop traversal, crowds as both obstacle and tool. It was not the best game that year, but it introduced a structural template that would dominate the next 15 years. The map filled with icons, viewpoints to unlock, collectibles scattered across every district, side missions radiating outward from the main story. Ubisoft refined this formula across sequel after sequel until it became a genre expectation rather than a design choice. Players began arriving at open-world games with a specific mental model: find the towers, clear the map, complete the percentage. The numbers validated this approach commercially. By 2013, open-world games dominated every major sales chart. That year alone, GTA 5 generated over $800 million in its first day of release, breaking previous entertainment industry records. The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim, released in 2011, had by that point sold over 30 million copies and was being ported to every platform imaginable. Far Cry 3 had redefined what an open-world shooter could feel like. Publishers saw the data and drew the obvious conclusion: open world equals revenue. Linear games began disappearing from major studio rosters almost entirely. But consider what that shift actually cost the industry. Between 2010 and 2018, we saw a dramatic decline in mid-tier linear experiences from major publishers. Games that would have been 8 to 12-hour focused narratives were either cancelled, restructured as open worlds regardless of whether the story supported it, or handed to smaller studios with constrained budgets. The pressure to expand scope was relentless and often counterproductive. Several high-profile open worlds shipped during this period feeling mechanically repetitive precisely because the content had been stretched far beyond what the underlying systems could sustain. The correction came from an unexpected direction. In 2017, 2 games released within months of each other and collectively forced the entire industry to rethink what an open world should actually accomplish. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild abandoned the icon-filled map entirely. It trusted players to find their own path using environmental cues, curiosity, and emergent physics interactions. It sold over 37 million copies and won Game of the Year from virtually every publication covering the industry. That same year, Horizon Zero Dawn demonstrated that a dense, handcrafted open world built around a strong central narrative could feel both expansive and focused simultaneously. The lesson those 2 games taught was precise and important. Players do not want size. Players want the feeling of possibility. Those are completely different design targets. A 100-hour open world filled with repetitive tasks generates less genuine satisfaction than a 30-hour open world where every discovery feels meaningful and every system interaction produces something surprising. The metric that mattered was not square kilometers of map. It was moments per hour of genuine player delight. Modern studios have absorbed this lesson with varying degrees of success. Elden Ring in 2022 sold over 21 million copies by embracing deliberate obscurity and environmental mystery within its open world. Players were not guided. They were trusted. The result was a global conversation about secrets, shortcuts, and discoveries that kept the game culturally dominant for months after release. Cyberpunk 2077, despite its catastrophic launch, eventually found its audience by leaning into narrative density within a visually overwhelming city. And the upcoming Grand Theft Auto 6 is generating anticipation levels the industry has genuinely never seen before, precisely because Rockstar's open worlds carry decades of trust that the space will be worth inhabiting. What open-world games ultimately changed was not just design philosophy. They changed the relationship between player and developer. In a linear game, the developer controls pacing completely. In an open world, the player negotiates with the systems the developer built. That negotiation is where genuine attachment forms. Players do not remember the cutscene where the hero delivered a speech. They remember the moment their horse fell off a cliff at sunrise, or the guard they accidentally started a war with, or the side quest they discovered at midnight that turned out to be the most emotionally resonant story in the entire game. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Pixel Pulse for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.